I don't like that. My hair is being stupid. Hello and welcome back to my channel. I am tired of toting my stuff back and forth to our church, which has a great spot for me to film, but it's just a lot to have to tote everything over there and then clean it up, all that stuff. So I am in my soon to be remodeled bedroom. It's not remodeled yet. So this back here will be changing within the next month or two. We are building a playground, so we have to build that first, and then I'm remodeling my bedroom. So yeah, you'll see a lot of things changing back here. Welcome to my channel. If you have not been here, my name is Karina Joy. I pretty much just talk about books because I love them and they're fun. And I think I say that in every single video. That's my catchphrase. So this video is going to be my February wrap-up. Okay guys, February was a strange month. I just had a hard time reading. I guess I was in somewhat of a slump, and I'm not really sure why. I don't know. And as I was reflecting, I really did read a lot. I just didn't finish most of what I read. So, I don't know. It just didn't seem like a good month for me. I haven't really been all that excited to film this video because of that, so I'm hoping I can like add enthusiasm and make it seem awesome, because I was kind of disappointed in the month of February. So I am going to start with my 5 stars and I'm going to go down to my DNF. So if you like all that, you can stick around. The one that I DNF'd, I will probably spoil, so I will warn you ahead of time, and then I will talk about it. If you've read it, you can listen to it. If you don't want to hear the spoilers, you can go ahead and cut the video off there, but I want to tell why I stopped reading it, because I was very involved in the book in the beginning. So anyway, this month I read 5 5-star books, and that's not super impressive because only 2 of them were like full-length books. The other ones were graphic novels. I read 2 4-star books, also graphic novels. I read 1 3-star book and 1 2-star book, and I am failing on my short story goal. I wanted to read a bunch of short stories this year, and yeah, I read 1 in February. So, and then I DNF'd 1 book, and I have 2 books that I kind of moved to finish in April so that I could do middle grade March and enjoy all the fun things that are part of this month. So let me get going with my 5 stars. I read this month The White Cat and the Monk. This is pretty much just a picture book. It was written over 1,000 years ago, if I remember correctly. It is a poem about a monk and this cat, and the cat comes and lives with him, and it's just the monk talking about how much he loves the cat. And I just found it really, really heartwarming to read something from somebody so long ago talking about a pet in the same way that we talk about pets today. I find that very intriguing, that all throughout history, humans are pretty much always the same, and we have the same types of interests and things like that. And yeah, we have different technologies and different focuses and all kinds of different things, but when you get down to the core of it, people are people, and I really did love this book. I want to say I read it on Hoopla. I think that's where I read it. So I read it on Hoopla. It was a really, really quick read. I think it's like 30 pages. Most of that's illustrations, but it was super cute. The next one, I read the second book to Through Laya's Eyes. I read the first one in January and I gave it a 5-star. This one, I gave a 5-star. This one's called In Pursuit of Justice, and it is a graphic novel about a girl who, I'm not going to tell you about the second one, but I'll tell you the premise behind the story for the whole series. It's a girl who was in an accident. I think it says like a year or two before this story takes place, and she is paralyzed, and the person that hit her left her for dead. And there was a lawsuit, and she knows that her parents were paid off to not sue. But she doesn't know who it was. Her parents haven't told her who it was. Her parents didn't even tell her that they got paid off. So she ends up going to college eventually and becoming a paralegal, and she gets a job at the law office for the lawyer that presided over that case. And so she's trying to find out who hit her, why they paid the family off, all of that stuff. The second one was just as good as the first one, and it ended on a cliffhanger. And I've been reading these on Hoopla, and the third one is not on Hoopla. And I don't know. I'm gonna have to try to hunt it down somehow, because I want to know what happens. And I don't know if it's just 3 books or if it's longer. So I'm gonna have to do some research on that one. Okay, so the next one I read for my What Brings You Joy reading challenge. This last month I did Newbery Honor or a Newbery inspired reading prompts. Yeah, I think that's how I said it. But anyway, one of the prompts was to read the Newbery Honor winner from the year you were born. And I was like, oh, this is going to be fun. And I'm going to find something awesome. And mine was a biography on Abraham Lincoln. And I am not all that interested in American history. I don't know why. It's just always kind of bored me. And I know that's probably horrible because it's the country I live in, but it's just not my favorite subject. I love history. Yeah, go all the way up from ancient history until, like, I don't know. I don't really like medieval times. I don't like American history. So when I saw that it was Lincoln, I was like, I'm probably not going to like it. But y'all, this book, it's called Lincoln, a Photo Biography, and it was so good. I learned so much. It's obviously middle grade because it's a Newbery Honor winner. But it was written in a way that was just easy to understand. It didn't have too many details that you didn't really care about, but it gave a good history of Lincoln from the time he was born until his death, and I loved it. I'm going to end up buying a copy of it and using it in our homeschool because it was really, really good. And actually, it was so good that I actually finished an ebook. I do not typically read ebooks. I start them and then I'm like, not that invested. I would rather hold the book or listen to the book. But this one I actually looked at, I had it on Scribd, and so I flipped through it and read the whole thing. It was like 190 something pages. So I feel like I did a pretty good job on that note, because usually I do not finish ebooks. This is probably, oh, I need to get this book because I have a physical copy of it. Okay, so the next 5-star, I'm gonna have to say, is one of my new favorites of all time. It is middle grade and it is hilarious. And I think, I'm pretty sure I was more invested in it than my kids. I did read it aloud to them. Yes, ma'am. Awesome. That's great. Thank you. So I did read it to my kids and they loved it, but I'm pretty sure I read it for myself, because by the end of it, I was like, did you catch that? It was so funny. And yeah, but anyway, What We Found in a Corn Maze and How It Saved a Dragon. Let me just tell you, you need to read this book if you like middle grade. So this is about 3 kids who discover magic, but it's not what we would think it is. It only works at certain times of the day, and it's for like silly things like opening a door, or I'm trying to remember another one that's kind of silly. It's basically for chores. And so they discover magic and it's not what they thought it was, but through the course of everything, they actually meet a boy from another universe that is in the magic world, and our world is the scientific world. And yeah, this is a really good read for Halloween. It is, obviously it's a corn maze, so it happens around Halloween, and there are a lot of really things that point towards Halloween that aren't necessarily Halloween. So it's hard to explain, except for that you would have to read it and then you would totally understand what I'm talking about. But there's zombies and gargoyles and just all kinds of fun stuff that seems scary, but when you know what's behind it, it's not scary. I hate it when there's a book so good that I can't describe it. But guys, this book, it's so good. It's hilarious. I laughed so much reading this book. You need to read it. Okay. Gotta find my spot here. Oh, passed it. The next 5-star I read was the Book of Acts in the Bible. I am working through the Bible, and I had planned on reading through the Bible twice this year, but I don't know. I am just enjoying taking it slower. I have read through the Bible more than once, and I want to say at least twice, maybe more than that. And I have been enjoying just reading slowly. So I read Acts throughout the month of February, and this month I am working on Psalms, and I'm just trying to slow down while I read so that I can absorb what it says rather than trying to consume a ton of chapters all at once, just to get through it. I don't want to make this into a book that I just skim through because I'm trying to finish it quickly. because this is life for me. So I want to enjoy it and soak it in. But Axe was 5 stars. Okay, so my 4-star books I read, and this month is the same as January. I did a whole lot of hoopla and scribd. I don't know. Now, March, I have already read 3 physical books, and it's only the 7th. So I'm doing better in March, but January and February, I did a whole lot of ebooks and audiobooks. So I don't have the physical copies of them. But this one I read is Forever Home. It is a graphic novel. Obviously, from the cover, you can tell that it is a middle grade. And it is about a little girl whose parents are in the military and they move around all the time. And they finally move into this old house. I can't remember the name of the house, but it's one of those that has a name. And there's ghosts that live there. And the ghosts are trying to haunt the family out, and she can see them, and she makes friends with them, and she convinces them not to scare her parents. And her parents don't know what's going on at first. So I won't say much more because I don't want to spoil it. I could tell you the whole story and completely spoil it, but it's one of those ghost stories that's not creepy, because you know that the ghosts are their intentions are not to hurt somebody. They're just saying, hey, this is my house, you need to go. But it was pretty cute and funny. The next one, this one cracks me up that I even read it, but it was like, okay, it's on Scribd and I could flip through it really, really quick. So yeah, I did. And I gave it 4 stars, so I must have liked it. But Slothilda. Okay, so this book, Slothilda, Living the Sloth Life, it's a graphic novel about a sloth and all the fun things that she does. And it cracked me up. It's a very simple graphic novel. I wouldn't even really consider it. I know it's considered a graphic novel, but it has like a picture and like and one word. It doesn't have like the blocks like a comic book does. So it's funny. You'll have to pick it up to see if you'll like it, but it took me like 5 minutes to read the whole thing. 4 stars. It was funny. Okay, so the next one is actually up here, and I'm gonna get it down. Okay, so guys, I had to get this book. Look at this cover, and look, I have an owl. And see the owl? My owl and this owl, they look almost identical. Okay, guys, I had to have this book. This is Ex Libris. It is by, oh my goodness, every time I say this name, I probably mess it up. Makaiko Kakatani? Okay. This was part of my alphabet challenge for this year, and it is 100 books to read and reread. I found a few books in here. It wasn't outstanding. It was 3-star. The main reason why I gave it 3 stars is it was very political. A lot of these books are I don't know, like biographies on presidents and things like that that are important and definitely are, you know, worth sharing, but they just don't interest me. So I found a couple of books in here, but there was a whole lot of political based books that I wasn't interested in picking up. So I gave it a 3-star, but it is going to be on my shelf because it is a beautiful book, and you know, you just can't give away a beautiful book. Sorry. Okay. Okay, so lost my place again. Oh man, guys. Okay. This book is from my What Brings You Joy reading challenge for the Newbery inspired prompts. This one, I think, this one, it had to have my first initial in the title. So I picked Jacob Have I Loved. Okay. This book is weird. I made a statement at the beginning of the month when I talked about the Newbery Awards that I have never been disappointed in a book that was a Newbery honor book. Yeah, that was a lie. Well, I guess it wasn't really a lie because I didn't know, but this book disappointed me. So, Jacob Have I Loved. This is about a girl who's actually 14, and so I don't know. I know the Newbery Award can be middle grade or young adult. This is definitely a young adult book. And okay, so I might give a spoiler away. I'm trying to decide if I want to or not. Let's see. Okay, so I have my 2-star, and then I have my short story that I'm not going to talk about a whole lot, and then I have my DNF. So from this point on, I may possibly give spoilers because I want to talk about the reasons why I didn't like these 2 books, and the only way I can do that is to give a spoiler. So if you have not read and are interested in reading Jacob Have I Loved and The Lovely Bones, then you can turn off the video here and like, subscribe, join me for other videos. But if you're interested in hearing what I have to say, I will continue on that path now. So, Jacob Have I Loved is about a 14-year-old girl who has a twin, and her twin is like, she feels like her twin is more favored than her. Hence, Jacob Have I Loved. It's talking about Jacob and Esau in the Bible, where Jacob was favored over Esau by the mother. So that's kind of the narrative. She feels like her mother and really everybody else cares for her sister more. The part that I was just kind of taken aback by and made the book weird for me is they have a friend who is in his 80s, and they live on the coast. They actually live on an island, and a hurricane comes, and so her parents bring this man to their home to keep him safe because he lives in an area that would be more dangerous. And so they go and get him, bring him to the home. They sit there throughout the hurricane, and when the hurricane is done, they get on their boats because the town is flooded, and they go and look at the area. And it's just her and this old man in the boat. And when they get to his house, it's completely destroyed. And, you know, he takes it well. And the conversation that they have causes her to fall in love with him. So we have a 14-year-old girl in love with an 80-year-old man. I was like, what? Like, what? I don't know. It was not something that I liked all that much. Now, granted, nothing happened. She doesn't pursue a relationship with him. He does not have any type of feelings towards her. It's just like a crush, but it was just strange. I don't remember ever having a crush on somebody that much older than me. So, I don't know. I'm sure it happens, but it's just not something that I was interested in reading about. I did finish the book, but it just wasn't all that outstanding to me. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to talk about is my short story. I read The Fisherman and His Wife, and I gave this 3 stars. This is a Grimm's Brothers fairy tale, and it's just, I don't know, mediocre. It was, so the fisherman catches what are those fish called? A flounder one day. And the flounder says, "Hey, I would rather you not kill me because I'm actually a prince and I don't want to be eaten." So he says, "Oh, okay, I'll throw you back in." So he throws the fish back in and he goes and tells his wife what happened. And his wife says, "Why did you throw him back in? Why didn't you wish for something?" So she was like, "You could have wished for a bigger house and we wouldn't have to live in this dump." So he goes back and he wishes for a bigger house. And the flounder grants that wish and continues to grant more and more wishes to the wife because she's never satisfied with what she received. So it's one of those stories. It was pretty good. It just wasn't like, oh my goodness, outstanding. Okay, now this book. Okay, guys. This is one of those books that had this amazing beginning that I was roped into, and then about halfway through I was like, and I'm done. And I actually read the synopsis about this so that I could see what happened in the end without having to read the book because I was not into it anymore. So The Lovely Bones is about a 14-year-old who gets murdered by a man. She gets raped and murdered. So there is that aspect. And the first part of the book, what I found interesting, first of all, she goes to her heaven. So in this book, everybody has their own heaven. And in their heaven, it's filled with the things that they want or desire. I was interested in it because knowing what heaven actually is and what we will receive in heaven was intriguing to me to see this secular view of heaven, because it was completely different. She was grieving just as much as her parents, so there was pain and there were tears, and it was a very maybe like self-centered heaven, and it was definitely a secular view on what heaven is. And I was very interested. In fact, when I first started this book, I was like, oh, I could like compare this heaven to actual heaven and all of that. So I actually took notes throughout here. Like, let's see if I can find one. Okay, so here is one of the things that I highlighted and then took a note on about comparing it to what heaven actually is. It says, I felt faint in heaven that day. I reeled back in the gazebo and my eyes snapped open. It was dark, and across from me stood a large building that I had never been in. So if you are a Christian, you know that there's no darkness in heaven because Jesus is the light and he is there. And so there isn't any darkness. So I just found it interesting to compare the two heavens. The other thing that I found interesting is that it explores grief. So it explores the family's grief in each person. So the mom, the dad, and her sister and her 4-year-old brother. So it kind of just shows like the different levels of grief that happen with each relationship. And then it also kind of dives into the serial killer's mind a little bit. I don't know if it's really his mind. She can follow him, and so she does. So she follows him to where he dumped her body, and she sits in his house and watches him do things, and it's just kind of interesting. And it was from a perspective that I hadn't ever read before, and I really liked it. Okay, so that's what I liked about Lovely Bones. That part, I was like, this is a good book. And I devoured this book until about halfway through. And here's your spoiler. The mom ends up having an affair. And I kind of saw it coming, but I kept reading and I was like, maybe not. Yeah. And that's where I cut it off because I don't want to read about affairs. So, yeah, that's where it was. At that point, I was like, all right, I don't need it. I read the synopsis, and let me tell you, if I had spent the time reading this book to see how it ended, I would have been mad because the synopsis is that, I don't know, eventually she is able to like jump into one of her friends' bodies and kindle some love with a boy that she had a crush on, and the murderer never gets caught for her murder. They never find her body. Yeah, I just was not impressed by the rest of the story. So I want to say, let's see, I don't know. Yeah. I got to page 176, and at that point I was done. The story just kind of dropped off and wasn't that good anymore. So that was a lot to talk about, sorry. But I also, it's up here. For about the last week of February, I buddy read Star Sights with Amanda from the Curly Reader. So a lot of my reading time was spent here and with the Lovely Bones that I did not finish. And yeah, this is really good. We just wanted to set it aside because we wanted to do middle grade March and not really have to feel pressured to finish this. So we're going to pick this back up in April, and that'll be good. But yeah, that was my extremely long, very disappointing February TBR. I honestly don't know how I talked more about a month that I didn't like reading than in the months that I did. That's sad. So I'm hoping I can trim this video down quite a bit. Sorry if I can't. It might just be one of those that only I'm interested in watching. So anyway, if you like this video, this is pretty much what I do. I love to talk about books, so I would love for you to like and subscribe, and let me know if you have read The Lovely Bones or Jacob Have I Loved. I would love to know what your opinions are on those two books because ugh, yeah, I wasn't impressed. So comment below if you've read those, and like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.